if we talk about the greatest champion in UFC history, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 names here, and I'll tell you why. The first one is John Jones,
Of course.
the current pound for pound number one fighter, mixed martial artist in the world. His record is 26-1-0, which means that he has 26 wins, 1 loss, no draws, and 1 no contest. Asterisk, he lost via disqualification.
Yeah.
So
that's very debatable as well, whether or not he should have been.
Technically, he's never been beaten in an octagon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Isn't he still trying to reverse that disqualification?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was against DC, yeah, that he was disqualified. The first DC.
No, that was overturned because he was convicted on
drug
charges.
Okay, I remember
and
now.
Doping. So 26-1, 26 victories, in essence, no losses. Right? In essence, he's never been beaten. And remember that because it's going to play a pivotal role. The next most valuable stat for me is that he has 14 wins in UFC title fights. That's the most ever. So he's the winningest champion in UFC history. He also has 11 title defenses. Okay. Officially, the record books state 10 because one of those was struck from the record for being overturned because of his doping and drug conviction.
Yeah, that's the DC one.
But he has 10 title defenses, which is not the most. So we'll get to that. He also has the longest unbeaten streak in UFC history. He went 18 fights unbeaten, and he was the youngest champ that has ever existed in the UFC. We can all definitely agree that he's the best light heavyweight that's ever lived.
Of course.
Yeah.
The other asterisks to his name is that he has had 4 drug testing and doping convictions and issues against his name. For a lot of people, that puts a big blight on his record. Second one, GSP, George St. Pierre.
Didn't he also hit a pregnant woman in a car?
Yes.
No,
he didn't hit her. He hit her with the car.
That's what I'm talking about. He drove into her.
And then ran away and then fled the scene.
So what's worse, hitting her with a car or just hitting her?
I've purposely kept that out because I'm trying to keep this within the confines of
No, I can't keep it.
Okay, GSP, George St. Pierre.
Of course. I was going to ask, did you include him on your list? Because if you didn't.
The gentleman of UFC.
A record of 26-2, 26 wins, 2 losses. 13 wins in UFC title fights, the second most behind John Jones. 9 title defenses, a 2-division champ, and we can all agree unequivocally the best welterweight that ever lived. Okay. Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson. Okay. 27 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw. 12 wins in UFC title fights, so the third most behind Jones and GSP. He is tied with John Jones on 11 consecutive title defenses. However, technically, he has the most because Jones, one of them has been struck, so he has 10. Right, so he has the most title defenses in UFC history, and we can all agree that he was the best flyweight that's ever lived. And the last one is Anderson Spider Silva, with a record of 34 wins, 11 losses, no draws, and 1 no contest. 11 wins in UFC title fights, which is the 4th most behind the 3 men that we've just mentioned, and the 2nd most consecutive title defenses in UFC history with 10. He also has the longest win streak in UFC history. He won 16 fights in a row. And we can all agree that he is the best middleweight in UFC history.
And is he the only one in that list that's a UFC Hall of Famer, if I'm not mistaken?
GSP is also a Hall of Famer.
Okay.
Yeah. The other guys are still active.
GSP retired champion, yeah?
Yeah, so GSP retired as a champion of the welterweight division, and then he came back 4 years later to beat Michael Bisping and win the middleweight title as well.
So you're not so you're not even going to throw in a little Khabib there for Sean to give
Glad you asked, Craig. I've prepared something.
Monologue.
Let me tell you why, and this will be the last thing that I say on this before I hand it back to you guys. I don't consider Khabib to be in the echelon of these greats, right? By record, sure, right? 29-0. One of the only elite level MMA fighters to go unbeaten throughout their career and in the UFC. So by virtue of his record, okay, he's probably got the best record in mixed martial arts. However, Khabib only had 13 fights in the UFC, right? That's less than the amount of title fights that John Jones has won.
Yeah.
John Jones has won. And by my count, about 7 of those were top opponents.
Yeah.
Right. The rest of them, he's been fighting fucking Chechen slaves in the tundra his whole life.
Bears.
He only had, that doesn't count. So 13 fights in the UFC. He only has 3 title defenses. I think we can all agree that he is the best lightweight. The only argument for him to be in this echelon, for me, is dominance. The way that he dominated everyone he ever fought.
Yeah, apparently he's only ever lost 1 round, right?
If that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's, this is the thing. What makes a great? What makes a greatest of all time?
Yeah.
So now for me, the numbers don't lie. They don't ever tell the full story, but they also don't lie. John Jones is the greatest champion that has ever been in the UFC. How much of that translates into the greatest of all time?